Hello, just want to touch on a quick topic that I've been wanting to share, and someone just commented on one of my YouTube videos, and my answer to the comment was basically the topic I wanted to share, so I may as well make a short video of it now. I know people who've had the vaccine and want to detox it out, okay? I know people who have not had the vaccine, but they're scared in case they have to get it, or they're scared in case they get forced to get it, okay? Worst case scenario, you get pinned down and get the vaccine in your arm. But even if it's nothing to do with vaccines, when we just look at the physical body and detoxification, when I did my Health Made Easy videos, they had a big response. A lot of people enjoyed them on Facebook, and that was interesting for me because I was surprised at how much people are still attached to matter, okay, like the physical aspect of health. And it is important, don't get me wrong, it is important, but it shows where we've come to, because I listened to my teacher this morning. We give a live teaching. He gave some incredible teachings, but he basically was saying that you don't forget the era we're moving into. We're moving into a soul light era, which is a reconnecting to spirit, to information, to the ether, to the fact that there is an inherent Buddha nature in everything, a Christ consciousness. There is basically a soul to everything, okay? There is a field to everything, an information field. And we've been taken so far away from that now that we are just, if we can't see it, touch it, even it doesn't exist, okay? We are materialists, okay? And it's intentionally done that way to cut us off from that aspect of life. But that aspect of life is the essence of who we are, okay? If my soul left this body now, what's left the body? Life has left the body. The field of my body would feel different if you stood next to me now and I just sat here. I might have a certain field, okay? If I died and you sat next to my body, it will still have a field, but it'll be a different field, because everything does have a field. But the life force, my soul, has left the body, okay? So the reason for this video is actually about detoxification, because this comment from somebody was saying she read one of my detoxification videos and said, I'm wondering how much toxicity I've got in my body after having chemotherapy. And there's a guy called Peter Hadoba, Dr. Peter Hadoba, who's followed these things, one of the first disciples of my teacher, and he was a neurosurgeon, and a cool guy, okay? He's wrote 2 books, recommend reading them. He's a good guy, and he's got a very colourful life. He's done a lot of things. Left his academic position as a neurosurgeon, actually, to follow his spiritual path years ago. And he's somebody who has done a lot of practice, okay? And that actually always does. If you ever meet anybody, you can really tell the difference in someone who's done a lot of practice. And he's done a lot of practice, and you can tell. And he told a great story. He told a story of when he first found Master Shah. He painted a little shed in his garden white, and he would meditate and chant God's light, God's light, God's light, God's light, God's light. He chanted for 5 to 8 hours a day, okay? And he said what happened was, within a couple of days, when he'd go into his shed, he'd have to take like 5 t-shirts with him, because his t-shirts would be soaking wet, okay? They'd just be sweating incredible, and he'd take his t-shirt off and he'd have to put another one on. And he said at the end of the day, his t-shirts smelled so bad, they stunk, okay? Now, this is a great teaching, because everything is frequency. Everything's frequency and vibration, okay? So yeah, we have toxic foods and we have things like this, or we might have the vaccine and want it out, or we might be afraid of having the vaccine. And people are saying when you want to get the vaccine out, you have spirulina and you have activated charcoal and you have all this. It's true, it works, of course it works. These things can grab hold of heavy metals and things like this and help dump them out, as well as rebound, and there's many things we can do, and I recommend we do them. But do not neglect or forget about the power of chanting a mantra all day. Another one of my teacher's older students was a nun. Okay, she was a nun until she found Master Sha. She was a nun at a school. Hopefully I don't get the small details wrong with this story, but this is how I remember the story. When she found Master Sha had just released the CD, God's Light. It was one of his early ones. We're talking years and years and years ago. And a kid, she was still a nun at a school, and this kid came to her and said, "Sister, my mum's dying, she got cancer, can you save her?" And she gave this kid the CD from my teacher called God's Light and said, "Tell your mum to play this and sing it non-stop." Now, there's a big teaching in there. She didn't say chant it for half an hour a day. She didn't say chant it for 2 hours a day. She said non-stop. Okay, it's powerful teaching, because we can, by chanting something like God's Light or a mantra, any mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, all day or for many hours a day, we are changing everything. We are changing our frequency and vibration, our consciousness. We are bringing light to our soul. We are saving all beings. Remember, saving all beings. The benefits are endless. Okay, we are receiving blessings from all beings. This is changing everything. It's changing our DNA. It's changing the water in our body. My next video is water is far more sacred than we ever thought, and I've always considered water as sacred, so just look out for that one. But changing the water in our body and basically purifying the body, the soul, mind and body, purifying your consciousness, purifying the physical aspect of our body. And as we raise our frequency and we allow this God's Light, for example, God's Light in, which has its own frequency and vibration, its own intelligence, its own wisdom, it will push out toxicity. My wife, Danielle, every time she's at a retreat with Master Sha or any type of retreat, she always says she feels embarrassed because one armpit constantly sweats, and she's paranoid of smelling because it's like a detoxification. She's always done that. What's interesting is I've just listened to Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche's book on the Heart of Compassion, a Tibetan master that died in 1991. Beautiful soul with incredible wisdom in there. And I listened to it over about 3 days, audiobook. And for those 3 days, I'm not a smelly person, okay? And I'm pretty conscious of trying to stay clean. I'm not somebody who typically smells. For 3 days, my right armpit just was sweating profusely, just couldn't stop sweating. I just had a one armpit. Now there's all yin yang of the body, okay, different sides of the body, different elements. There's a reason why you might sweat out of a specific armpit, but in this case, it was smelly. Okay, it was really smelly. And the insights I was getting, I was like, wow. Because as soon as I finished the audiobook, that stopped. Wisdom carries its own frequency, vibration, and light. Okay? And as we even listen to an audiobook or read a spiritual text, as we take it on, it's Master Sha, my teacher used to always say, Master Sha used to say, clean the house before welcoming the guest. Okay, so before he'd offer like a spiritual transmission to the body, he'd recommend either doing incredible amounts of practice or get a spiritual blessing that would clean the karma for that area, for the spiritual transmission to come in. It makes perfect sense. If you were going to invite your spiritual teacher or even your parents to your house, you'd clean the house first. It's a respectful thing, okay? So the body is cleaning out, and this is wisdom that we can't forget. It's very important wisdom, because chanting a mantra all day, and I could tell many stories, okay, of Buddhist practitioners. Okay, there's been Buddhist practitioners that have been dying stage 4 cancer, and talking just normal Buddhist practitioners, and they've said, okay, we accept that we're going to die, and they've just laid down, they've chanted Namo Amitofu or Teante Bekanze Bekanze Maha Bekanze Ranza Zambogate. So they chanted to medicine Buddha, okay, non-stop. They may have had a dream that the Buddha or medicine Buddha or Amitofu's come to them and offered them a blessing, and their cancer's gone, okay, after a period of time. There's a famous Chinese master who's, I think it was his brother, older brother, father and grandfather, all died in their 40s, and he knew he was going to die in his 40s, so he closed the door in his temple, and he said, I'm getting preparing to die, when he got to 40 or 50. I'm sorry if I get it wrong, but he chanted, I'm ready, Amitofu. Namo Amitofu. Chanted Amitofu day and night. Okay, he's still living, he's still teaching, and now I think he's an older guy, he's an older man. Okay, many of these stories, but it's fundamental good wisdom to know. If you're thinking, my goodness, what if I get this vaccine, or what happens if anything, okay, we're bombarded with poisons all day, every day anyway, just with negativity on the news, or toxicity just in the field, or our Wi-Fi or EMFs, and there is ways to detoxify them on the physical level, okay, but just remember, the fastest way to purify this physical body is by connecting to spiritual frequencies and energies, okay? And because that is fundamentally what we are a spirit in a physical body. And by doing that, we bring in high frequencies and vibrations, we purify, detoxify, and literally change our body. This is why many Rinpoches, their faces change. Their faces become kinder and softer over time, okay? You might look at me now and think I look really rough, but if you actually look at pictures of me when I first came to Australia, or just before then, everybody says I look different, just because I look dark around the eyes, I look more aggressive, okay, I look a lot more angry. I often laugh sometimes. I see some of my old photos and think, mate, I just literally look like a something off what's it called, Watchdog or whatever it is, Crime Watch. But so yeah, open your heart, chant mantras as a detoxification. It's more powerful than anything else we can do. If it serves you, please share this, or anyone you think this might serve, please share. I love you all. Take care. Bye bye.